Oh, I'm surprised you didn't DVE back in to the show. Oh my God, where'd Carrie Ann go?
She must have been washed away by that black wipe.
And actually, as Tawik had mentioned in the chat room, we have 12 librarians today. Only about 3 or 4 do launch stuff. Perhaps others can focus on mission stuff. I do agree with that. I think the people who are focusing on launch stuff are doing great, and I don't think we need to add to their plate. I don't want to change that other than maybe making their life easier, not harder. They found me! What I think what I would like to have happen is maybe more librarians or the existing librarians that are kind of silent going in and backfilling some of that data in. The other thing I would like to do is if anyone's interested, so I have to take my earpiece out for a second. If anyone's interested, I would actually like to get historic launch data, like all of the space shuttle missions, and then like have someone focus on maybe just Atlas, someone focus on the different atlases. Someone focus on Atlas, someone focus on Delta, someone focus on Shuttle, and get the whole historic launch library up to date as well. So we have the most comprehensive library of launch data ever in the universe. I think that would be awesome.
For the shuttle data, I would like to nominate Nathan Muller.
I don't know if you can nominate people.
No, I would like to nominate Nathan Muller.
All right.
At Astronate on Twitter.
Okay.
Find him. Ask him. He's like Shuttlepedia.
He's Shuttlepedia.
Yes, he is the human Shuttlepedia.
All right.
And I did manage to find my source for for Elon's thing. It was in the Tim Urban Wait But Why article.
So what you did while watching the show and directing, you really quickly read the entire Wait But Why article on SpaceX.
Yes.
Top to bottom until you found the quote?
Actually, I think it's the Why Elon Musk is a really cool guy article. And he said, Tim Urban asked him about his knowledge of business, and Musk scolded him saying, I don't know what a business is. All a company is a bunch of people together to create a product or service. There's no such thing as a business, just pursuit of a goal, a group of people pursuing a goal.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Now you've been sourced. Boom. Mic drop. Dutta just mic dropped on us.
Well, Mike mute maybe, but yeah.
That's funny.
Oh,
man. I wonder if there is anyone out there who would be willing to, or has and would be willing to share some of the classified shuttle missions.
Ooh.
I only know what one of them like actually did, but like the other ones, it's still just like they took up something. It was probably just a reconnaissance satellite or something, but I'd still like to know for sure. You know what I mean? Coffee. I am drinking coffee.
Hey, to Wicked, so date adding is actually less crappy than it was before, but I agree it still does kind of suck. If you have suggestions on how to improve the library, always Pete is very responsive, although right now a little under the weather. Under the weather's not quite the right term, but you know what I mean. But he's very responsive and stuff like that, and he's kind of on the same mission of helping to create the world's best library for developers to be able to use. So if you have ideas into how to make the data entry for the librarians better, definitely let us know, and we definitely listen and try to make as many changes as we can to make it a great process for everyone.
Did you see my shirt?
We have a
unicorns in space.
We have a astronaut riding a unicorn.
Yeah.
In the universe.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
They want to know when they get to see your cat shirt again, Mike.
I'll bring it back. I will bring it back. In fact, I'm going to go get me some new ones, too, so that I can get you a little variety. There you go.
Please do that. That
Space
sounds
cat shirts.
fantastic.
You can find them on Amazon. They're all over at work.
She has space tights.
Yeah.
I hated 5 years ago, me and my friends joking and coming up with a great idea to do Space Cat, and then lo and behold, 4 years later, they're everywhere.
You could have been a multimillionaire / $100 heir.
Right. Destructor 1701, you did, and I apologize. I didn't know how to respond at the time, but thank you. I want to acknowledge I did see that.
Chris Radcliffe, why is Ben Credible wearing a button down today? Job interview?
No, because Ben is prissy, and he finally found a prissy shirt place that he likes.
So before I worked at SpaceX, I actually wore collared shirts basically every day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then worked at SpaceX, and I got fat too, and I couldn't find any shirts that I liked, and I just kind of slowly degraded into t-shirts and jeans and sneakers. But this is actually what
That
I'm
he
working.
doesn't like, by the way. Like, be clear when you say that, because
Well, I don't
I
dislike
would live
it.
in t-shirts and jeans if I could. I would live. I'm right now wearing t-shirts and shorts. Like,
I
that's
didn't dislike
my
it, but
entire
it's certainly-
wardrobe is
it's
that.
not me, right? This is closer to me.
yeah. No, it is. But I
so-
just want you to be clear when you say that, because you make it sound like people who wear t-shirts and jeans are just like the scum of the earth.
Well, no, I'm just kidding. So no, you're right. It's t-shirts and jeans aren't me, right? It's just not who I am. It has
No,
never
you're
been.
prissier than that.
I'm way prissier than that. So I found a company online called Truemaker, Trumaker, who custom tailor shirts, or like they send.
They come out to you.
They
and
come
they
to you.
Take
they take
all
all
of
your
your measurements.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No.
You're gonna tell us way better than I am.
But the thing is that they send out a hot girl.
Yeah, they do.
They're based in like LA and San Francisco. So they get these and they are always looking for people who want to be these little tailor people. And most of the tailor people, or not the tailor people, but the measurement people, and all the measurement people typically have other jobs like actresses and coffee makers, or I imagine, or something like that. Anyone who's trying to get into the biz. And then this gives them a little bit more exposure or what have you. And so they send a hot girl out to wherever you are, preferably work, of course. And they
Because
measure
they want multiple people too.
right, of course. And then they measure you all up and this, that, and the other. And then you pick out the different fabrics, and you can tailor. You can choose just about anything you want for the most part. So the kind of collar, if you want a pocket, no pocket, French cuffs, regular cuffs, the whole nine, and all your different flavors and what have you. And
Could you do me a favor?
yeah,
Could you
Yeah.
check and just see? Thank you.
and yeah. So there you go. And then they send you shirts, and it's kind of cool. And I'm not going to diss it, because that's you. Me, however, stupid unicorn astronaut t-shirts and shorts. That's me.
We went to the Mall of America to get her shirt. She saw that. She's like, I must own this. So.
Oh man. For some reason, I can very clearly just picture Ben at work and, oh, my measurement girl has arrived, and totally like stopping everything and
Pretty much.
trying to
No.
be important.
It was even better than that, because it was obvious that she didn't work with us. So here I am at the coffee bar, and then here comes my husband with this hot girl that I didn't know was coming in. Honestly, and she's wearing these heels. It was crazy pants, and every one of the baristas goes, "Who's that?" And I go, "I don't know. Why are you asking me?" Like, she's kind of hot. I'm like, "Yes, I can see that. Thank you."
She was.
She was hot. She's too young for you.
Yep.
But she was hot. So there's that added bonus. It was funny, though.
They're talking about, in the chat room, they're talking about the
Yes.
NASA spaceflight tweet of Chris B. Freaking out over an upcoming SpaceX announcement. For the record, I have no idea. I legitimately haven't the foggiest idea what he's referring to.
There's so many things about that, of like why that person would be contacted specifically to be shown something. It just doesn't even make sense as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. That's cool.
I think just their L2 section proves that they can keep a secret if they want to.
NASA spaceflight? Mm-hmm. Well, can they?
You know, in a way, I guess, you know?
But even
They're-
if-
I mean, sure, they're media, so if they're given something, they're probably going to talk about it, but I don't know.
Where's that?
I like all of his stuff, and I miss having my L2 membership and being able to get into all their super secret stuff, but...
We still need to do an open.
The Caspar computer's notifications keep playing on air.
Ah, I'll need to silence those. Thanks, Windows 10.
Yeah.
All right, so open. Let's see here. I'll say rocket launches. Mike, you'll say rocket pads. And Karen, you'll say rocket contracts.
Sure.
Rocket launches, rocket pads, rocket contracts. Oh my.
Boom! You just did it for us. I don't see any reason to do an open at this point. We're just going to use that.
Okay, tomorrow begins right now.
Bam! Nailed it! All right, ready?
Yes.
Here's number one. Here we go. Coming up, rocket launches.
Rocket pads.
And rocket contracts.
Plus, we're going to take a look at the small launcher market and small sat market and see
Whether or not they're the same thing or not.
Yeah, that was an open. Number two.
Did you just turn into a Sims for a second?
All right. Coming up, rocket launches.
Rocket pads.
And rocket contracts.
Plus, we're going to be taking a look at the small launcher business and all the different small sats and nanosats and rack sats and teeny tiny sats. I'll go on top of that and see if I can say sats more in this particular open. I don't know what to say there.
I can see that. Why don't you just completely lie and say we're going to debate whether or not Australia should have a...
All right, so I'm going to ask the internet.
Okay. So you lie in the open and say that the topic is whether or not Australia should have a space program. In the topic itself, we were talking about small sats, and then when you title it on YouTube, you just say no topic.
I think that's too insider. I don't think most of the community will get that. Although I will say it's freaking hilarious.
You could say that you can tell the truth and say that we crowdsourced our main topic.
Okay, that's a good idea. All right, this is 3. All right. Coming up, rocket launches.
Rocket pads.
And rocket contracts.
And this week for our main topic, we crowdsourced that. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now.
Mike needs to spend more time looking at the camera instead of his monitor.
He's
So
so
my
pretty.
monitor?
He can't stop looking at himself.
I'm just trying to keep up with the chat room, man.
That it's impossible to do that. And Dada, I'm super excited for us to get our teleprompter so we can keep up with the chat room out here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it stopped doing
If
whatever
it's not
the heck
after
it's
dark,
doing now.
during the show, I try to keep it focused. Oh, man. By the way, can we get a huge round of applause for Dada's amazing job switching back and forth today?
Oh, and you DVE again just to piss me off. Oh my God.
Awesome.
All right, are we winding down?
I think so. Do we want to ask, or rather answer some of the questions that people asked earlier?
Yeah, not a bad idea.
yeah.
Hang on. I just,
Should Ireland have a space
haven't-
agency?
you're-
Of course. And its
you're-
administrator should be Scott Manley, even though he's Scottish. Dan TC24 asked Ben Credible, can you explain the difference between hybrid rockets and chemical rockets?
there are 3, actually. There are 3 types of things you need to know. You've got a chemical engine, a solid motor, and a hybrid motor. The 2 on polar opposites are going to be the chemical engine. That's going to be with liquids. It's going to have a fuel and an oxidizer. Then you've got your solid motors. That's just going to be there are different ways to do that, but basically I'm sorry, I should go back to chemicals. Chemicals you can turn on, turn off, throttle up, and throttle down dynamically in real time. So if you want to change it in flight, you can do that. Solids, Once you turn them on, they're on. You basically, it's like lighting a fuse, and they go. Now you can cook into it a formula to throttle up and throttle down, but once it's baked into that formula, you can never deviate from that. And the big problem with solids is if something goes wrong and there's a rapid unscheduled disassembly of the solid, it's going to keep burning. It's going to burn until it's expelled its fuel.
So you're partially correct. The solid propellant contains both the oxidizer and the fuel.
Sure.
You didn't mention that.
Okay. Well, it's
not. You're not just burning solid.
everything has an oxidizer. It's assumed that everything has an oxidizer and fuel.
Correct.
Because you need three things for fire.
Well, you can't assume. You're trying to explain something.
You need three things for fire. You need So yes. So there we go. A hybrid motor is kind of in between the two, so to speak. Your oxidizer is generally external from the whatever your hybrid fuel is going to be. We'll call it rubber, for example. But again, you've got different fuels you can use. And the advantage of a hybrid motor is you can actually start it up and turn it off, unlike a solid motor. The disadvantage is that it's, as we've shown, fairly hard to contain at times, and doesn't quite have the same oomph as some of the other technologies out there. But it is simpler. So there you go. Any additions from anyone?
The chat room is saying you can shut down before burnout on solid.
On a solid, how do you shut down before burnout on a solid?
You can throttle.
You cannot throttle.
No, you can.
Well, no, the way you bake it in, yeah.
You can bake it in as a throttle, but you can't once you commit, unless you bake in a shutdown, which is basically not having something there. Right? Right? I mean, I don't know how you would shut down. You can't shut down a solid.
No, you cannot.
Just saying, that's what the chat room is saying. I don't know why I'm being yelled at.
Well,
They're saying they can
actually.
you can eject it to abort. Okay, you can eject it, sure, but it's still burning.
Correct.
It's not going to stop burning until it has consumed all of it, or you get rid of your oxidizer somehow.
You can open the pressure vessel such that it no longer provides thrust, but the fuel is still burning.
Sure.
All right. I mean, I think the way I worded it was still correct, because I didn't say it was providing thrust. I said it would continue to burn.
Yes, you did.
Because if it has a rapid unscheduled disassembly, it's going to probably shatter itself into pieces. Those pieces will continue to burn until they've consumed their fuel.
Correct.
Or something happens to the oxidizer.
ATK has these solid fuel upper stages. I think they're called they're like the Star family of upper stages, and they can light and relight those all the time. In fact, Explorer 1 had a whole bunch of old Sargent rockets that they lighted, shut off, and then restarted, and that was in the 50s. So it can't be too complex
No, you bake it into the formula.
to be able to not just throttle down, but actually shut off
yeah.
and then turn back on after a certain time.
Sure.
How do you bake that into a formula?
You just have a little fuse that would go up, or a little.
Well, no, you have to completely get rid of the portion of fuel that's burning that contains both oxidizer and fuel in order to extinguish the flame to shut it off.
Right.
And then once that's all that it's exposed, so it's not burning anymore, how do you relight?
Oh, I see your point. But not all solid motors have to go like the ATK motors that go outside or inside out, right? Because that's how they burn, right? They burn inside and out this direction.
Most of them, yes.
Yeah, but I don't believe you have to burn that direction.
You can burn one end to the other.
Right. So you could burn and then have a section, like a sleeve that stops it, and then just have, right? So you essentially it'd be 5 motors inside of one. I'm making assumptions. I don't know if that's true. That's just what works in my brain.
You'd have to remove that sleeve somehow, the insulator.
No, you just have to restart it from the top, right? Just consider it a second engine, even though it's in the same chamber, right? So there you go.
Interesting.
Okay.
Maybe not. Some solid engine. Someone from ATK contact us and let us know how you start and stop a solid motor, because we know it's possible, but we don't understand how. How's that?
Or better yet, come on the show and educate us.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, so a lot of people are anti-solid motors, and that's wrong. You just need to know where solid motors need to be used. There are a lot of applications, especially in launch abort, where solid makes a boatload of sense. It's because solid is basically immediate. You hit go and you have thrust, and you have lots of it. Whereas liquid motors, and someone mentioned I should have said liquid earlier instead of chemical. So liquid motors, liquid engines, they can sometimes take a moment to get to full thrust. So that's, and especially in a launch abort scenario, it can be less than ideal. Oh, by the way, and the other thing, explaining to people if they don't know, oxidizer, one of the things you need for fire is oxygen. And that is literally what the oxidizer is. When you're going into space, there is no oxygen in space, so you need to bring it with you. I don't know if that was, I made that assumption, maybe that was bad to assume. Maybe everyone already knew that. So if you already knew that, I'm sorry. Mark, you can't be shut down, they were clusters. Yeah, so clusters make sense. Clusters makes perfect sense. And then once you expend the fuel, that's it. That one is done, and you need to move to number 2. Once you expend that, that's done. You move to number 3, or whatever that is. Oh,
Very interesting.
all
Rocket
right.
science with tomorrow.
What's funny is we did a space pod on liquid engines.
Something like that.
We did. It was YouTube has a studio space in Los Angeles, and a couple of years ago when we were trying to figure out,
Oh yeah.
right? So I was constantly trying to get a real studio space for the show so we can do some cooler things, because I have a bigger vision for the show than just this. We can do. I want to do really cool things with you guys. I think it'd be fun, and that would be enabled through YouTube Space, which is their studio. And in order to get access to that, we had to take some classes, and we had to do some videos, and we had to post them on our YouTube channel. And so we did that, and one of the things we did was, and they required us to use a green screen, which for those who know me, part of me
Little
died.
piece of Ben died.
Little me died inside, especially since they also require that you use their crew.
Yes.
And their crew was nice, except that they were expecting to get one of the higher end RAW cameras, like a Red or like one of the RAW Canon cameras, but they didn't. They got a compressed camera. And how you shoot on a RAW camera is different than how you shoot on a compressed camera. And so they shot on the compressed camera like you would shoot on RAW, so everything was, all of it was, the aperture was too far open, and we blew out the image, and there was nothing I could do, so that made me sad. So anyhow, we did the episode, and it's all about liquid engines, and in the end, I had always planned on doing an explanation on solid motors and how they're different and how they work. Mm-hmm. And so in the end, they're like, and click here for solid motors. And it doesn't work because I never built the space pod on solid motors. And now I feel a little bit bad.
Just a little bit, though.
Not a lot bad. Not a lot bad.
So as the overlord of tomorrow, you have to direct one of your space pod makers to do a pretty decent space pod on
Nah.
liquid propulsion, and then you can fill that in.
No, I could, but now it's just kind of funny.
Click here for a link that doesn't exist.
Pretty much. That's exactly what happens. All right, Mike, we can let you go.
All right, well, it was a fun show, guys.
Yep, have a great one. See you next week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, and Internet, I think we out to... and color bars. There you go. Okay, apparently we're just going to go to black. Oh, there we go. Color bars and black. Dada, what are you doing to me, man? What are you doing to me? Oh, my God, Dada.
I push all your buttons.
Yes, you do.